Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again doing what I do, walking along in beautiful locations such as this, giving you my thoughts and opinions on things that are happening in the world and the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome. It's a real pleasure for me to have you along for the journey, so thank you for being here. If you're a returning subscriber or 1,292, I think it is today. I think that's right. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, welcome back. Welcome one and all. I'm so pleased that you've joined me, so thank you. So today, by the title of the video, I'm calling this video Order Out of Chaos. Only because I didn't want to write all the words, but all the words of the title should be New World Order Out of Chaos. So, where do we start with this one? Let's start with what the couple of events that have just happened. We'll go through some things that are happening in the world, and I'll give you my thoughts and what I think it means. I've seen some other stuff as well. I'm going to try and include a bunch of this stuff in this, just to sort of highlight the direction I see things happening and why that is and what it means. All right. So we've just had the G22. G22, Chris, you say? And I say, yes, the G22. It's not the G20 anymore. The G20 nations are the 20 richest nations in the world, the 20 sort of highest GDP nations of the world, India and America and Britain, blah, 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 the G20 nations. It was always the G20, but I remember it was the G7, it was the G20. But now it's the G22. G22, because we had the leaders of all those G20 nations, plus we had Bill Gates, didn't know he was running a nation, but there we are, and Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum was there as well. Now, as I watched that, I was thinking, why are those two guys there? Why is Bill Gates, who has no qualification, zero, none, no qualification whatsoever to do with anything about running a nation. This is the guy who supposedly invented a computer program, right? Windows, yeah, Microsoft, yeah. That's his company, isn't it? That he stood down from the board from to work on. What is it? What does he call himself? A full-on rapist? Full-on rapist, I think. Philanthropist. Sorry. So he could focus on being a full-on rapist, a philanthropist. So that's Bill Gates. He didn't write shit. He didn't invent Microsoft. He didn't write a single line of code. He's nothing. He's no one. He's got no qualifications whatsoever. All the code, there's Microsoft, there's IBM. Okay? So that guy, Bill Gates, how has he got so much power? Who is this guy? Honestly, how does he, Bill Gates, with no qualification, no university degree, what qualifies him to go along to the G20 and speak to world leaders and tell them how to run their countries? And then we get to Klaus Schwab. That's the guy who said, "You will eat the bugs. You will eat the bugs." Yeah, the guy who dresses up like he's a cosplayer. Yeah, and if you're into cosplay, cool. I don't think you'd have that guy coming along to cosplay events with you. They're not that you'd want him to. The guy's a weirdo. So yes, Klaus Schwab, you'll eat the bugs, you will own nothing, and you'll be happy. No, we won't, Klaus. You will own nothing, and you'll be in prison, and we'll be happy. So, but who are these two guys to be there, dictate? And Klaus Schwab is actually, I saw an interview with him as well, where he praised the Chinese method. He praised Chinese democracy. Democracy, yeah? Okay. Yeah, it's a threat to our democracy. So he's praising the way that China does things. And he says, the world is moving towards a new world order, So he said, we get to decide, being him and Bill Gates and the other morons that are trying to push this great reset through. We will build the future and people need to go along with us, like, oh, fuck off, you scumbag Nazi piece of shit. So G22, where all the world's nations get together. And then what happened afterwards was the COP, I'm not sure what that's supposed to stand for, climate crisis meeting, the climate crisis meeting. So all these same people get together. Obviously, Bill Gates and Greta Thunberg was probably there as well. Greta von Doomsberg. Oh, Greta, we miss you so much. How dare you? How dare you? You know, this kind of bullshit that came out of the... Because you can't attack a child, of course. You can't say, what does a child know about anything? But no, that's why they put these children up front, to be the shield to the, you know, whatever they're trying to push. Because if you dare to say anything, you say, but she's just a child. How dare you attack her? She's just a child. She's autistic. Oh, she's got the double protection, autistic and a child. Oh, it's like, that's if you're playing one of those games, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, where you put down hit points, you know, she's got double protection, you know. But then they go off to this climate conference in their private jets, of course. And King Charles is, we've had one chance to save the world. We have to bypass the governments, rah, rah, and all corporations with their trillions at their disposal. We'll now be able to change things. And don't worry about the governments and that whole people doing things for the people thing, rah, rah. You know, fuck Prince Charles or King Charles, or whatever the fuck he wants to call himself. He's a worthless sack of trash. These people flying in their private jets, or if you're an American president, with the Beast, and what other vehicles you're going to require for you to get from the airport to wherever you're meeting, which is usually about a 10-minute trip down the road. Massive motorcade of vehicles that run on petrol, coming out of a massive jet that also runs on jet fuel, and then running all these vehicles and the planes and the private jets and everything else they've got to go to the climate conference to tell us all to stop using CO2. Okay. Now, I come out here to these kind of places. I'm in the forest today. There's a little bit of a mist hanging over there. It is really lovely in here today. It's genuinely beautiful, so quiet. Then I come out here and start talking over the top of it. But it's absolutely gorgeous in here, and it reminds me that, you know, I visited a couple of nurseries where they professionally grow plants, and I'm reminded that those same nurseries that professionally grow plants to sell, pump carbon dioxide into the areas where they grow the plants because the plants grow better with more carbon dioxide. True story. Just like out here. Look at this forest here. Now, if there wasn't carbon dioxide in the air, these trees wouldn't be green because they couldn't photosynthesize. Science! Trust the science. And then we're going to get into some science. Yeah. Science! Photosynthesis. Back when I was at school, maybe the lessons have changed now. Maybe I just don't understand how science works anymore. There's a possibility. I've been at school for a long time, you know. But out here, when you're in the forest and you recognize that the trees are green because of that photosynthesis that allows them to turn carbon dioxide, breathe in carbon dioxide, yeah, which we breathe out, by the way, and then they breathe out oxygen. So without carbon dioxide, well, there's too much carbon dioxide now. Well, who decides how much carbon dioxide is the perfect amount, parts per million for the air? Who decided that number? Because, you know, I've been to rattle on again the same thing, you know, with the whole Antarctica, we've talked about that a lot as well, where they were drilling ice core samples. And when you draw ice core samples down through the ice, and you pull those ice cores out, then you can test those ice cores to see what was in the air for every year that new snowfall had been laid down. It's almost like a history record in the air, in the snow, in the ice. So if in the past we've had vastly more periods where there was periods in the past with vastly more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and cooler temperatures than what we have now, it kind of blows away the whole myth of that climate change is about carbon dioxide and it heating up the planet, right? Now, people like to point, this is the reason they call it climate change, is because it can encompass anything. Oh, the weather's warm today, climate change. Oh, it's cooler today, climate change. Oh, there's a storm, climate change. Anything can be attributed to climate change, you know. We just had a warm summer here in the UK, which is, oh my God, it's unheard of. It's never happened before in history. Of course it has. You know, the medieval warm period in the 1600s, if history's a real thing, by the way, the medieval warm period was much warmer than it is now with zero industrialization. So how do you explain that? Well, you can't explain that. That's why it's left out of all the models. Whoop, just conveniently move that out of the statistics, because that messes with the statistics and we don't want that. But so there's a massive push on for this climate change thing, right? Obviously, and we need more. What do they agree to at the G20? Oh, that's right, digital passports, digital that thing that starts with a V that I'm not allowed to say the word, because if I dare say that word, I mean, you know, it's not like it's modern day book burning or word cancelling or what was that in 1984? Thought crime. Thought crime. You know, it's easy to fall into that thought crime bucket because it could be anything, just like climate change, could be anything. Oh, rain's falling today, climate change. Yeah, but it's funny that, like I say, I come out here, look through the trees there. Let's see. Sky's blue. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. This morning it wasn't. It was raining. So the climate changed. But that's weather, Chris. It's different than climate. Okay. Okay. But at the G20, they also agreed to this thing that starts with a V, you know, the jab passport that you're going to have for the next pandemic. You know, the in-between pandemics. The thing I noticed as well, a lot of these pandemics start in China. Bird flu, man, who remember bird flu? Where'd that come from? Oh, that's right, China. What about this whole latest one? Oh, that's China too, was it? You know, all the other ones? China. And all these times that we were told there was going to be a pandemic and we're all going to die. Bird flu, Zika, swine flu. Where did swine flu come from? Oh, that's right, China. What was the other one that they had? SARS. Yeah, severe adult respiratory syndrome. SARS. Yeah, SARS, COVID. And I was talking with a colleague the other day, and I mentioned to him that how can you have the COVID-19, which was named COVID, COVID-19 is named after the year. That's where the 19 comes from, right? COVID-19, because it was discovered it was a coronavirus, unique disease. You know, it was just discovered in 2019, right? That's why it was called COVID-19. But I was talking with my colleague, and I mentioned to him, you know, that they had the patent for testing for COVID-19. The patent for testing for COVID-19, owned by Rothschild, by the way, funny that, the patent was granted in 2015. How's that possible? Anyway, we're getting off the subject. Let's come back to where we were. So they're talking about the new passport that you have to have. All the world leaders have agreed to it. Oh, we all agree with you know, because we need to prepare for the next pandemic. Okay. Why do you want the digital control? Oh, because then we can be more like China with their digital credit, you know, the digital, what do they call that? Social credit score, which I've talked about a couple of years now, you know. So they want us all to be like China. And if you're not a good little person, if you dare to speak out like I'm doing on the internet, oh, Chris, you're so brave. No, I'm not. I just don't give a shit. Don't care. Try and cut me off. I'm prepared for that. I won't like it. I will respond, but I'm prepared. You know, cut me off from the system. I won't cry myself to sleep. That's fine. Cut me off from the system. Make sure you cancel my debt while you're doing it. No. So if you want to cut me off from the system, then all my debt belongs in that system, right? Then that's fine. If you want me to cut me off from it, what do I care? I'll walk away. I'm prepared for that. So they want us to be in this controlled environment of having all your details medical information, financial information, wallets, everything all in one place, nice and conveniently located. And then you'll be able to get your universal basic income paid in a CBDC, which is a central bank digital currency, which means you are beholden to the state for the rest of your life and you can never escape it. And that's what they want for you. Now, I've been warning against this for a long time, and people say, oh, but crypto's the same. It's not. Oh, but crypto doesn't work when the power goes out. Do you think your cash will? How many people pay for things with cash anymore? You're paying with your card. Oh, but crypto won't work when the power goes out, Chris. And I'm like, okay, will your card work? Okay. I was flicking around on Netflix yesterday, the day before, last week. Anyway, I was flicking around on there, and there's a new program. It's called Inside Job, okay? And much like there was another one done with Mike Myers recently called The TheMatrix, and it's about a secret group of people running the world. The Inside Job is a cartoon, like a South Park kind of thing, adult cartoon, about a group of cabal, the deep state, whatever they're calling themselves, that they run the world. And this cartoon and this other thing that Mike Myers did called the TheMatrix is basically mocking the whole thing and laughing at conspiracy theorists and calling it all ridiculous and blah, 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 blah. And I see that, that it trivializes the whole thing. Trivializes all the conspiracy theorists and the conspiracy theories, even though that it's plainly obvious that a lot of the like I say many, many times, we're not really in a game, but just in case anybody's keeping score, it is 17-0 to the conspiracy theorists at the moment. 17-0. But who's keeping score? But I see this kind of stuff, and I see that, you have a look at the news and it's like, oh, QAnon, those people are going to be dangerous conspiracy theories, and they're the ones who are alt-right, and they're the ones who are violent out in the street, and all this kind of nonsense. Then you see any mention of anything that goes against the narrative that they're trying to push. You're a dangerous terrorist. You're a conspiracy theory. It is all about putting the idea of discussing these subjects, sharing ideas that run counter to the narrative that's being pushed through the media and through politics and everywhere at any time. Social media, what's happening at Twitter is interesting. We'll get to that in just a second. But they're trivializing all this information and putting it out there in such a way that it trivializes it, so people look at it, laugh and go, ha, 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 and it takes away the seriousness of what's going on, and it trivializes it, just much like they did in the latest Matrix movie that I've talked about before. I did a whole video about it, where in the last Matrix movie, where the character from the original 3 movies, Neo, is now a game designer, and he wrote this game called TheMatrix, and he's in this new life that they've created for him. He is this game designer, and he's never really satisfied with his life, because he just sees it as a worthless pursuit until he comes to realize what they've done, and they trivialized his entire life as a game to take away from his life, which was the Matrix, his life that he lived, that they wrote into a game to trivialize the game. Does that make sense what I'm trying to get to? So I see all these things happening, these TV shows and this mockery and this. Before we go there, look at this. Look where I am. It's beautiful, really beautiful spot here. Love coming out here. Anyway, getting off the subject. So trivializing this information and putting it out in such a way in the cartoons and things like that to make people mock it, to make people ridicule it, take it to, because then if you're associated with it in any way, oh, you're one of those, you're an idiot, you're a fool. Didn't you see that TV program? It just made a mockery of the whole thing. And the whole point is to make you so you won't align with information that runs counter to the narrative. Because if you dare step out of line, not only will they attack you, the media, the politicians, the people, the social media, those people will try and ban you. They will try and throw you off their platform. I've been kicked off Facebook yet again because I dared to question the narrative. And that's the whole point. It's to try and dissuade you from sharing information. It's to try and make people look like me and anyone who questions anything look like a crazy person in the eyes of the broader public. And no one wants to be associated with that. So then your friends won't talk to you either. Well, your friends, I say friends, friends, huh? Friends, honestly, friends who are going to tear you limb from limb if you dare say anything against the narrative that they choose to believe in, because the only reason they choose to believe in it is because they're told it's real. And they still believe it. Even after all the lies have been proven, all the nonsense, all the statistical data fudging, all the bullshit that we've been fed over the last nearly 3 years, even after all that, when the truth comes out about those pesky Russians doing what they're doing, all the truth comes out about what's been happening in Ukraine, and people still choose to believe it. Oh, but I can't let it go, Chris. My entire psyche relies on believing the media, because if I don't believe what these politicians are telling me, if I don't believe what the media is telling me, then what does it mean? It means they hate me and they want me dead. Or we have to reduce the population down. Here, have this jab. Still can't see it, can you? So, I mean, those people aren't going to be watching this. So I'm going to say what I'm going to say anyway, because they'll never watch it. People like that don't watch things like that, because that would be crazy. That would be questioning the authority who's telling them, no, this is all real. Just look at our statistics. It's all real. Trust the science. So when I see what's going on, and I see the desperation, and I see the ramp up of all the rhetoric, I see the media, they can't stop. They're ramping up the rhetoric. They're making all these TV shows. They're making these movies. They're doing everything to try and implode the culture on itself by just ridiculing anybody who dares to question the narrative. So you know what that does to me? That emboldens me, because that is showing the more you have to push it that far and that hard, and the way that they're pushing it right now is like all the climate change bullshit. There's like everything. Well, we have to sign these agreements and we have to do it now. What are you going to do? Well, we have to raise taxes, and then what? We're going to lower the temperature by 2 degrees. How? We're going to build more windmills and solar farms. How's that working out for Germany at the moment? I'm asking. I mean, what are we doing? Solar farms, solar panels, yeah, and wind farms. Okay. Not really sunny today. I mean, the sun is there, but it's cloud covered, and not a breath of wind again. So that's money well spent. My tax money. Well, I suppose it's better spent there than go and buy more weapons for Ukraine. But are they really buying weapons with the money? Really? Are they? Or is it going through FTX and then being laundered through FTX and then being pumped into political campaigns? Maybe a book deal for someone. Or maybe, just maybe, they were buying some of Hunter Biden's art, because he is an artist, established, selling these pieces for £500,000 each. It's pretty impressive. I'm not sure how he does his art, of course. Maybe what he does is he gets on crack, and then I've seen an artist do it. I'm not sure if this is actually Hunter Biden's medium, but I've seen an artist where he actually draws in ink up his backside and then sprays it all over a canvas. That's his art. And I would think that, with the genius that Hunter Biden is, I think he would bring something very clever to the table with his art, and that's why it is worth so much. It's definitely not money laundering. So we've got that clear. Now, when I see this kind of the level up and the ramp up of this rhetoric and this push to change the narrative away from everybody questioning what's going on, the collapse of everything, our society is going down the shitter before our very eyes, because people can't decide what bathroom they want to use or what gender they are. I mean, how confused are you going to be? I'm wondering. I mean, I honestly, I don't know. You know, we've heard for years, and for a lot of my adult life, we've been hearing about mental health and mental health and mental health. We've got to, help each other with our mental health. When did people stop correcting people when they were talking stupid shit like I'm pansexual or I'm whatever sexual nonsense that they're doing now? Since when did our friends stop intervening in our lives and saying, hey, something's wrong here, I can help you, you need to seek help because all this shit you're talking about, you're freaking some some bizarre. And since when did the gender argument become a sexuality argument? That's what I want to know, honestly. When did that happen? Because I don't understand how it can. It's like, okay, I'm a man, but no, I'm one of these misgendered bloody nonsense garbage that they're making up now, thousands of them. At what point did that become sexual? So you can't be a gender without sex now? Or is it you have to... Should I walk around with a t-shirt that says I love vagina? I mean, I don't know. Honestly. Why is it so necessary for everyone to walk around with a flag or a pin or a shirt that says I'm gay or straight? Why is it necessary now? What have I missed? But this is it. When you have such a big push, they're desperate. And when they're desperate, they're weak. See the weakness and swoop in with the meme cannons and start firing on all cylinders and bring these stupid people that are trying to be divisive and moronic down to their knees. And forget about them, wipe them out of the conversation. Our role is just to bring up the stupidity, bring it forth, and then people see it for what it is. Make a decision about how they want to live. And that's your choice. Where do you want to live? How do you want to live? Go out into the world. And you can change it with the way that you talk, the way that you think, the way that we're interacting with each other. So do that. You can change the world. All right, thanks so much for joining me, one and all. Really can't thank you enough. Real pleasure for me to have you here. So thank you. Look after yourself. Look after each other. And we're going to make the world a better place. Thanks so much for stopping by and look forward to seeing you soon. Ciao for now.